Okay, and we are live. Hello, and welcome to another edition of Repsense trainings, broadcasted live from our Vilnius office. Today we will be talking about how online reputation works. And for those who are new to our webinars, I would like to remind you that every Wednesday I host the training session here on YouTube, and every other week we are starting. One second. And every other week, we're working with those who want to delve deeper into online reputation management, and we're going into the deeper sessions dedicated to professionals looking to advance in online reputation. Now, what we're going to be covering here today is our webinar is being streamed live on the Repsense YouTube channel. So I would like to use this opportunity to invite you to subscribe to our channel to stay updated for the future events. And in case you missed this video or a part of this video, revisit it at any time. And also send it to your peers or colleagues if you want to share the information as well. We'll be very glad for that if you smash that subscribe button. And additionally, the video will be also available at repsense.io/learn after the session, of course, if you want to share it with your peers. I want to encourage you to use the chat box for any questions or comments during the presentation. I will be happy to address them towards the end of our session, and depending on the number of questions we receive and discussion this ensures, this event should take about an hour. So sit back and let's dive straight into the topic without any further ado. I'm also want to use this opportunity to tell you that this week, tomorrow and Friday, I'm going to Riga for Tech Chill. So if you at Tech Chill, hit me up on LinkedIn and let's have a chat, especially if you want to talk more about online reputation. And next week, on Wednesday, the 4th of May, I'm going to have another session that's going to be for advanced users, how to build a strong online reputation and what are the best practices. We are going to be analyzing some results from the banking industry. Also want to look at the biggest crisis from 2022. What were the biggest public relations crises, or how that impacted how companies got out of those situations. So it should be a fun training, and join me for that. We'll have a blast. So I want to start with an event that happened recently, just last week. I visited an event on Online Reputation Index, where companies were evaluated based on the opinions of various focus groups. And these groups were decision makers, also society as a whole, and opinion leaders like influencers and someone like a priest in the church as well. And while many of the companies ranked quite high, there was a company that ranked rather low upon all of these various groups. And their reputation in the memory of the audience was rather low. But when Repsense tool used to analyze the same data, taking into account their online presence, they looked pretty good. And the company in question is a big logistics company that has recently went through a public scandal regarding underpayment of employees and maybe faking some expenses or using immigrant workers with some harsh conditions and long hours. And although the scandal was widely condemned, the company's reputation stayed intact and remained strong, especially online. Throughout the week, social media platforms were flooded with bursts of outrage from various groups, including drivers and politicians, and also public relations specialists, questioning how we calculated the numbers that don't correspond to the opinion in the audience. And we had a very interesting week here in the office, but these accusations, questioning how company with so many public accusations could maintain positive reputation online is a good phenomenon that puzzled many because it opens eyes how effective some online reputation management strategies can be, and how a company being in a complicated situation, in all of these public relations, can really keep a good reputation online. And the truth is that online reputation management is a complex and constantly evolving field. There are many tools and techniques that companies can use to shape their online reputation. And the success of these strategies often depends on the specific circumstances in each case. And in some of the cases, companies may be able to succeed to mitigate those negative publicity by taking swift and decisive action, while in many of the other cases, the damage may be too severe to repair. So I want to analyze those, but before we go there, I want to start with something that made this online reputation tracking possible. And these are the three factors or live events that made us being able to analyze online reputations. I think the three most important factors are natural language processing, the time spent in quarantine and the time we spent online a couple of last years ago, and also the big rise of ChatGPT and the momentum it created. So I want to start with natural language processing. As you might have known, it is a branch of artificial intelligence that deals with interaction between computers and humans. So it kind of helps us talk to computers and computers to talk back to us. First time you use the Siri, it was something fancy. How can a phone understand you? And now you can have almost a human conversation. So with the advancement of NLP, it has become easier for us to analyze online content as well, and also to understand its meaning. NLP made it possible to develop sophisticated algorithms that can identify and categorize online content with a very high accuracy. Algorithms like Repsense is using to analyze content that will search about the brands and the companies online. Also, and the second factor was quarantine. With COVID-19 pandemic that has forced us to spend a lot of time at home, and resulting in a very significant increase of online activity. People have been forced to rely on internet for carrying their daily activities, including socializing, shopping, working, and going to school. And then this increased online activity has actively resulted in the explosion of online content, and also making internet the main source of information among all of the search groups. Finally, ChatGPT, the large language model trained by OpenAI, it has played a significant role here as well. ChatGPT has the ability to process large amounts of language, especially text, up to 500 pages to make a decision if you want to summarize that or not. And by analyzing this content and providing accurate insights, it also creates a very good momentum for loads of information individuals are putting online to be transformed in an index, in an insight that can tell us whether people are talking about you in a sentiment that's negative or not related to the communication your brand is sending, or is it a correspondence or maybe even a proactive transcendence of the communication that you were sending in your public relations campaigns or brand awareness campaigns or any other online activity. So in conclusion, the influence of natural language processing and quarantine and ChatGPT has significantly impacted our current ability to understand online reputations. These factors have made it possible to analyze vast amounts of online content, and doing this quite accurately. Sorry about that. So providing these valuable insights, individuals can repair their online reputations if they are broken. And for many of us who rely on internet for reviews and reputations and ideas for making decisions, these factors will play an even more significant role in the future that helps us navigate the online world. Let me just have a sip of water and then we'll continue. Okay, so NLP, quarantine, and ChatGPT. So, what are the other trends that are shaping the future of public relations, and what techniques have the biggest impact on the reputation? And this is a study from 2020. Currently, of course, not so many studies have been made, but there are five big trends that are happening with public relations online. Of course, the digital storytelling. It has been around for a while, and it's changing the way we advertise. Rather than simply running ads, we are now focused on telling a story, telling a compelling story for our audience, something that they will react to. Another big factor is social listening. It's a technique that becomes increasingly important, however, not enough to simply listen. Companies must also react in a timely manner and create content that resonates with the audiences. And also, by being able to understand what people are talking about you in the social media or maybe in their blogs, in the review sites, you're also able to change your narrative a little bit to make this fit your potential audiences better. This means that matching their opinions and helping them conduct their own research before making a decision. And also, social listening has already disrupted industries and influenced major decisions as well. If you take Brexit and the decision of the people to make it, or the election of Donald J. Trump, this didn't really happen without social listening and understanding what the narratives were in the media and what narratives the companies that wanted to make this decision were pushing to the audiences. Having a role in the society and the social purpose is not only important for the company's reputation, but it's also important major factor for employer branding. And now when we talk about reputation with the companies, for many of the cases, for them it's important to find new employees, and the companies that have clear social purpose are more likely to attract top talent and have a higher employee satisfaction. So you're not only working to get paid, you're also saving the world in this case, or many of these cases. And of course, data analysis, data insights, and also database decisions have been a hot topic for at least a couple of years now. Companies that are able to leverage this data make better decisions, are more accurate in the decisions they make and the content they create. So this big data thing has not gone away, and we are more likely to see more of that in the future. And finally, behavioral research. It's another factor that can have a significant impact on your public relations. By understanding human behavior and decision-making process, companies can create more effective marketing campaigns and better communicate with their audiences. So all of these factors shape the future of public relations. Now, how do we bring it into one tool? How do we create a tool that helps us understand all of these things and put it in the memory of our potential audiences? So when we talk about reputation, we have to ask a question: what it means to have a reputation for something. And when we are referring to a reputation, we're also referring to the opinion that people have about you, that is based on their past experience or an action that you have taken. And to have a reputation for something means that you are known or remembered for a particular trait, maybe a characteristic or a behavior. And it can be positive or negative, depending on what people have experienced in the past about you, your brand, or your product. So let me just give you an example. If someone has a reputation for being a great cook, like me, it also means that people perceive you that you should be consistently delivering products that are the highest quality and delicious meals, and every time you cook, you will succeed. But conversely, if a business have a reputation for have a poor customer service, it means that people perceive them as constantly providing unsatisfactory service to their customers. So, and neither I am the best cook in the world that cooks perfect meal every time, I failed too. And even if you got a bad customer service once, it doesn't really mean that, everyone, every client of this company is getting the same treatment. So not always, one person's opinion who's not satisfied will be the one that corresponds with all the other audiences. So, but reputations matter because it can impact how we are perceived by others on our success, on our failures. And a positive reputation can lead to greater opportunities and more positive relationships, while negative reputation can limit our opportunity or even damage those relationships that we already have. And in today's digital age, we're constantly bombarded with information, and it's coming from different sources, and it's hard to remember everything. Our memories are fragmented. It's making it harder to recall the original source of information as well. And today we have a luxury of having a phone in our hand, and the phone has a search engine, and search engines like Google, that helps you to save the valuable space in your brain space and you don't have to memorize unnecessary information because you can simply look it up on your phone, with a couple clicks of the button. There's no more buttons there, just screen. But forgetfulness also plays a big impact on reputation as well, because people's memories fade over time. And in some cases, it can be beneficial for brands as the negative experiences may have been forgotten, but we all know that there's one company that doesn't forget, and Google does not forget. And now I want to talk about Daniel Wegner's theory of transactive memory. And this theory suggests that individuals rely on others or big groups of people to remember information. The shared information system enhances overall group performance and efficiency. And essentially, the theory proposes that groups can collectively remember more than individuals on their own. So platforms such as social media or maybe review sites or blogs, they act as a collective memory bank. And online platforms aggregating, these user experiences and opinions and reviews and creating this collective memory can significantly impact brands' reputation. Search engines like Google can enhance or hinder brands' reputation based on the relevance of the search results. So once the information is out there, Google's going to index it, and when somebody searches for a review related to your brand or your company, they will most likely find it because Google, tries to find the second opinion, and this is where it's going to be very important. Do you own all of the search results, or are you able to influence all of the search results in the Google's first page? Or, you only have your website there, and then the rest are reviews, and maybe not all of them are positive. While online content has a natural decay rate, and meaning that older content will gradually lose its visibility and relevance. Due to content decay, brands should consistently produce fresh and high quality content to maintain this strong online presence. And another important part is also reinforcing these positive memories through, consistency and engaging interactions, and being of top of the mind with your audiences. By using this regular communication and content updates and exceptional customer service, you can always, keep track of, stay in the memory of your audience as a good service provider and reputable company. But object like Sunday newspaper, where 80% of the people in the society was getting their information, is no longer there, and we are living in our own information bubbles and gather information from various different sources. So how do we get attention in this fragmented media, and what channels do we use for that storytelling, or explaining who we are and where people can find us? So I want to go through this PESA model and probably it's not going to be new for you, but of course, first of all, we have all the owned media, something that's like your website, your blog, something that you control, maybe your product page, where you put the information, and you are the company that has you are the biggest expert of your product. You have a possibility to rank high. So for most of the cases, we will see that searching for your brand, if you have a proper page with a good search engine optimization, you will be the first choice and the first result. But not necessarily you will be the only source of information for people making a decision. So somebody who's going to be looking into the reviews or what others are talking about you will probably land on the content that will be your earned media. And in earned media, probably the biggest role here is having a good relationships with media, making them post your position or your opinion in one of the other cases, helping them to come to you and ask for questions about what's happening in the industry. So, being an expert in the industry, and if there's a media talking about you, then it's likely that this content might be shared, and your shared media will have additional content about you. It can go into social media, it can be a part of your content marketing strategy, but all of that will be your shared media here. And then not all of the channels will have the content for free. Sometimes we need to pay for that as well. So all of your brand awareness campaigns and all of your Google ads campaigns and all your ads on social media will go into your paid media or paid channels they're using. So now companies have to use a lot of different channels to have a good impression about them, to tell their stories. But when you're telling a story, most likely you want to create some noise. You want to create some noise about the topic, some noise about the product, have people start talking about this. And what we are doing here at Repsense, we are measuring the signal comparing to the noise. So when there's a lot of noise being created about one topic or the other, we also want to see whether people engage with that content will find what you are telling them. And that not in every case this happens with something that's a fresh or new or start in the news that there's a crisis happening. But if you have a proper strategy to prepare for these events, then you can put a signal there before you actually create the noise and start sending it. So I want to show you another model that works very well with that PESO model showed in previously. And the name of the model is NIIS, N-I-I-S. So in the top, we have all the noise that's being created. And of course, we want to use metrics to measure that. So we're going to measure share of voice, the reach of the audience, and the amount of money that's being spent to advertise. And this will show the size of the noise that has been created. So for our noise KPI, the three metrics, share of noise, reached audience, and advertising value, will be a very good metric to show that. But it's not only about the noise. We want to create some impact. And with impact, we want to get social media engagement. We want to have people talking about this, and some of them will be talking in a negative sentiment, maybe someone in a positive. Maybe you want to measure how the sentiment that is being used or the narratives that are being correspond to the communication that you have originally decided to send. And these two, like brand awareness stages, are also very important, but they are not new. So we always try to measure the noise and measure the impact. But what this NIIS model suggests, that somebody has been impacted with the noise that has been sent, should become interested in it, should go and do something about it. And what do we do when we want to search for information? We go on Google and search for that. So it kind of shows our interest. So we decided that we want to have a metric that can help us understand what the interest the noise created, and how do we measure that. And for measuring this, a share of search is also a very important metric to understand how many people are searching from you comparing to your competitors, how many searches are done overall in the industry that you are participating, and how you are discovered as a brand when somebody is looking for a product or the service in the query that's not related to your brand. So they're not mentioning you. I'm looking for new sports shoes. I'm not mentioning Nikes, but I'm just looking at maybe sports shoe trends. What's happening there, and so I want to put a like a heat map on top of this. So the measuring noise and impact has been there already, but we want to do additionally with Repsense to disrupt the industry a little bit, to create additional performance marketing metrics for public relations industry. And for me, coming from working for over 12 years with Google products, and especially giving trainings on Google Analytics, where all the performance marketing is based on the action and reaction and how many conversions you get and what's your engagement rate and what's your cost per click or cost per acquisition. Having these metrics in the public relations industry gives a lot more understanding how effective the communication was. So we're no longer measuring our brand awareness with a like this, and that's not my idea. One of the clients showed it to me last week. So to give you an understanding how this works and how do we get those measurements, I have to talk a little bit about one of the products that we have. It's a Repsense index, or reputation index as we call it. So how the data is collected. To understand that, you have to think that, okay, so when I'm looking for a company or a brand or a product, I might be looking at it from several different perspectives. So in this case, we have 6 profiles. And one profile is going to be someone who's looking for a CEO of the company. Also, I can be looking for a company from the customer's perspective. For employer branding campaigns, I'm going to be looking for company from the perspective of a potential employee, or maybe someone who already works for the company. Also, I can be looking for keywords that are in the business industry or in the category that not related to the brand, and we'll call it a discovery view. And also maybe I could be an investor, so I'm going to be interested in the stock price, in the futures, in the evaluation, and so on. It's also related to the company, but I'm just looking for a different perspective. So I'm looking for the same company, but for every different profile, the perspective is different, and of course the keywords will change. So let's say if I add at least 3 keywords to all of these profiles, we already have 15 to 18 keywords that needs to be analyzed. Keywords like, let's say for the investor view, futures, stock price, valuation. 3 keywords connected to stock with a company name. So now I have 6 profiles, 3 keywords each that I need to analyze. And what we are going to be looking at Repsense, we're going to be looking at the first 2 pages of Google search results, so the 20 SERPs. And for those search results, we're going to be adding one of the 50 parameters that are important for us to tracking. For example, whether the brand or a company was mentioned in the title of an article, who is the author of the article, how a brand or a company or a CEO is mentioned in the content, what's the sentiment around that content, is it a positive or negative, and also looking at the diversity of the search results. Are all of the search results only about you and the website that you own, or do you have reviews? Do you have Google snippets? Do you have Wikipedia? Are you on social media, and so on and so on? And from all of these parameters, we are combining. We're doing a calculation to combine this Repsense index, and not only we are doing this for one country, but then we can do it for every market individually, because company can be operating in one country in one field and maybe a few others additional fields in the other country. So with this calculation, we see that there's at least 7.5 million data points for one run to be analyzed. And if you were a human doing the job and it took you only 1 second to open the website and make a decision, what's this page, is it good or bad? How do you do the evaluation? It should take you about 12,500 minutes or 2,000 hours or at least 12 weeks to get the job done as a human. So this is a very good example how natural language processing comes into play and helps us understand the content about these brands. So now when we have this algorithm and we have all the data collected and analyzed, we want to do something with it. There's so many numbers but not enough insights. So out of all of the potential that our algorithm has, I want to present you 4 products that we currently offer to our clients today. And the first one is the share of search. So share of search has been described by Kantar as the most important metric you have never heard of, which shows the effectiveness of the noise your communication created, whether it resulted in an impact on the audience, and did that impact corresponded in a proactive going online and searching for the information that was mentioned in the noise that has been created. The Discovery View is our second analytical product that helps understand how people discover your brand online and also evaluates your visibility among the popular search queries when your brand is not mentioned in the search query. It can also help you claim the visibility territories and also understand the additional areas where your products and services overlap with the queries that may be not related to your brand. It also shows how your competitors are doing and how they are discovered online to give you an insight whether you are competing with them in their visibility territories as well. Another product is Repsense Index, which I've already showed you in a diagram how it has been calculated. So for us, it's a tool that helps analyze to give you a number of how well your reputation online is performing, and it's an index that also shows the industry as a whole, how your competitors' reputations look against you, and what can be done to change that. So you want to immediately understand the online reputation and also how that changes, and maybe whether the brand awareness campaigns that have been run resulted in a better or change for the better of Repsense Index, or maybe a scandal that's happening online resulted in a negative change for the index as well. And as I already mentioned, everybody has a lot of numbers and a lot of data. It's hard to get insights. So we want to turn the data into actionable insights and help you take the next steps immediately. So we track the signal that changes across important areas and provide actionable intelligence. We give you the decisions that you need to make, what needs to be done next to improve your online reputation. And it can be a low-hanging fruit like setting up a Wikipedia page, but maybe also it can be a different strategy, working on some of the content that has a negative sentiment that really impacts your brand, or maybe there's a review that has not been answered, and maybe you just need to put more information there just to at least dilute the content if you don't have the ability to change it. And I want to use this opportunity for sales, because a lot of people think, since we are a data analysis company, our products are very expensive. So I want to tell you that, it starts at 190 euros per month and gives you a very good overview of how you are doing and when you like it, you want to continue. Then we have all of these other different packages that can, help you get more information, look at more competitors, more markets, and analyze more keywords and queries. But it's not too expensive to start to understand how this works and how this can be of use for your company. And And for the end, I want to give you some ideas. So, there are 3 ways to tackle negative search results. And if you have those, this will be very helpful for you. So theoretically, by applying different strategies, it's possible to achieve results in all of these 3 cases. Because the chance of success of deleting content from the internet is the lowest. You can try to delete the content through maybe a pressure on publication or a source, and with the help of the lawyers, and if you have deep pockets also, and serious lawyers too, and then maybe you can go to the source and tell them, okay, I don't like this information, it shouldn't be there, delete it. But it's hard to get there, and you can also send this cease and desist letters, and use something like DMCA in US and GDPR in the European Union, or your right to be forgotten. But due to the right of freedom of speech and expression, these instruments can only be used in very specific situations. And this task is not always recommended, because there are many risks, and you can also not only improve your reputation but damage this if this gets out of the hand and also goes into the public media. So I want to talk about another 2 examples. And if there is some harmful content that being posted about you, these are the steps that you can take to remove it. You can contact the website or a platform where the content is posted and then request them to remove it. And if it's a defamatory or violates the term of services of the platform, and you may be able to have it removed more easily. So if necessary, seek for professional help, and Repsense can be the company that can help you remove the content that shouldn't be there, especially if it's a defamatory or violates the terms of services of the platforms, like Pinterest, for example. This is one of the results. And it sometimes it can become ugly when the information ends up in a powerful media like Bloomberg or Forbes, and competing with them is not easy, and outranking these websites is not easy as well. They will have a rank of 10 out of 10, but although it's still possible over a long time, we can also try to soften the information in the publication of the source. And of course, such steps can be taken through relationship with journalists, also clarification of information, improvement of product, and maybe changing the whole internal strategy, how you want to communicate that article. And of course, it requires focused work, and perseverance, and it might take some long time. But if done correctly, the results will be better and they will stay for longer. And the goal of this is, to get the articles and the journalists to come to you for your opinion before they publish anything that goes out of hand and goes online without asking you a question first. And relations with media are important, because through them you can influence the results of at least some of what's being known about you, and also be in the position to know what to expect when they put information out there. So establishing relationships with press is important, because deleting the information that has already been out there and published is a very specific and complicated matter. And like in this example with the Pope wearing a puffy coat, or Donald Trump being arrested before he was arrested, of course both the websites said it's fake. It's artificial intelligence generated content, and these are not realistic. But now, or at least for a while, when you go to the trustworthy source, this was the information that has been put out there. And you know what? It's not deleted. It's still there. And since it got so much engagement, it ranks a lot higher than any other content about Pope, because there was no other event where the Pope was mentioned so many times recently, or it hasn't changed up until now. Of course, Donald Trump got arrested, and this maybe was a prophecy that was about to happen. But still, if you search for Donald Trump and the content on Forbes, it's very likely you will find these artificial intelligence generated images because it was just more interesting than Donald Trump overall. And the third, and perhaps the best way to deal with negative information is to push the information from the source with the negative content down. This should be followed by, of course, the attempts to correct the bad information that I've mentioned in the previous slides. But because there are several different ways to do, how do you want to deal with a mature company, and how you want to deal with those articles. Bad articles can be outranked with your own assets, something from the own media part that I've told you about. For example, placing an article about a situation from your own perspective and using similar wording and the keywords on your website will always rank higher than somebody who's writing a review, because it's your company you are talking about and you are the biggest expert of your company and your product. And amplifying it, on other mediums so that you can control, like Wikipedia or LinkedIn or social media, Reddit, local review platforms, and so on and so on. It can also give you a better result, giving you a better position in the search results. So if supported by public relations activities, these actions can be more effective. And just one of the ways is by sending the same article with a different name after taking a little bit of time to think, changing the perspective to a different angle of the same issue, and after a short period of time, suddenly you are the newest information on that source, the article that you control, and it's no longer maybe in a negative sentiment. So well thought through public relations campaigns can be effective by pushing down unwanted information for at least a short period of time. And while it's important to monitor your reputation regularly, there are a bunch of tools that can help you track how your brand is being mentioned in the media. And of course, you can trust Google Alerts. You can set up an alert with your name or your business name, and I'm sure. And once there is an information about you in Google search results, it will send you an email. It will send you an email that you've been mentioned somewhere there, and it's a good way to start. But in the slide, I'm also showing a demo of the finance company Revolut, and how their brand mentions in Google Media News category are displayed on the Repsense app. And the main goal of monitoring your brand mentions is also the ability to identify what's being in the media with how authority and potential to gain the momentum, to be on top of the search results and being seen by thousands of viewers. So, these might be the issues that you want to address promptly and prevent them from escalating, by creating the same type of content on the media that you currently own. So, you can also see here I'm just going to this presentation. Okay, you can also see the sentiment score. So this will be a Repsense index that is being presented here. And of course, when somebody says that, so why has Revolut been hit by a surge in the scams? Of course, the sentiment about the company is not going to be very, very high. And you will have the source, the type of content, the media rank, and all the other metrics about this with the link to the information that's being mentioned. So of course, when your brand is mentioned with the keyword scam, and this is the number one in the search result in the news category, and because these are all new, I understand that it's a new content that has not been there for the last run. So at least these three articles are the ones that my public relations should be addressing promptly if I was working for Revolut. So to get a demo of the tool, during the presentation or after that, you can go to our website and register for the demo, and my colleagues will gladly set up an account for you and show you how you are being presented in the search results, what's your online reputation, and help you understand where to go next. So reputation management is a complex process, and Of course, it requires an expertise and experience. And consider seeking for professional help for your reputation management, an agency that can repair your online reputation. We have the necessary tools and strategies to help you build your reputation effectively, and a good reputation is more value for money. Oh, this has been true a couple thousand years ago, and this idea is still very much valid today. So I want to thank you for spending these 45 minutes with us and looking at the presentation. And I have my YouTube channel open now. If you have any questions or comments, post it here and I will be able to address them promptly. So we don't have any more questions today, but use the chat box after the event, post your comment or review or a question, and we will answer them after the event. Also, I would like to thank you for spending this hour with us, and see you next week on Wednesday on another webinar of how online reputation works, where we will be talking about online reputation strategies and looking at the case studies, how companies got out of the trouble with that they had in the media by correcting their online reputation. And see you soon. Thank you very much.